Hello and welcome to Beyond Business, where we look at the latest trends in the global economy. Is healthcare a business like any other? That's the question we're looking at in today's show. Should private companies be allowed to run hospitals and turn a profit? The critics say healthcare could become a commodity that only the wealthy can afford. Others say it could save taxpayer money and streamline public services. We'll discuss those issues in a moment, but we're starting with a report from Britain and its first public hospital run by a private firm.
Hitchinbrook's public hospital, 30 kilometers away from Cambridge, with its 1,800 employees, covers a region of 160,000 residents. It had piled up £40 million in debt and nearly went bankrupt. But this medical centre will remain open after all. In a first try of its kind in England, a private firm will try and cure this ailing hospital. Circle Health has given itself 10 years to get the medical centre back on track. The man behind this project, Ali Parsa, a former Goldman Sachs banker.
What we will do is we will take all the money that is put into this hospital to deliver the services that the patients want. Having delivered those services, if the hospital makes a surplus, if it makes a profit, we will use that profit to pay back the government for its debt.
Having a professional background.
The hospital will still receive government funding, with its employees paid by the National Health Service, and healthcare will remain free. However, Parsa has privatized management, getting rid of what he calls excessive bureaucracy. Parsa wants to cut costs by improving management and productivity.
We're trying to reduce length of stay. We're trying to get more patients back in the community if they don't need a hospital visit. We're trying to make sure they don't come up for multiple visits. Wherever there's waste or inefficiency, we're trying to eliminate it.
All that without layoffs or closing any department.
The way you get productivity is not by firing people. It's not by asking people to go or cutting, because that way all you get is less cost, yes, but also less service. You can't have that. You need to have less cost, but more service to have more value.
Parsa also hopes to attract more patients.
Yeah, very good.
By being more efficient, by increasing the quality of what you do, you can then attract more patients. And by doing that, you can increase the revenue, the profitability of your hospital.
He wants to run this hospital like a company. This former banker already operates 2 private clinics, one in Bath, designed by the architect Norman Foster, and where meals are supervised by a Michelin star chef.
99.6% of our patients say they recommend our services to a friend and a family. A 5-star hotel doesn't get that. And that is because we freed our professionals, our doctors, our nurses from the bureaucracy, and we focus them on their patients.
The hospital's PR team did not let France 24 interview any patients, but we did take a close look at Circle's balance sheet. In a public hospital, an MRI cost £188, while at the Bath clinic, patients spend around £425. Circle Holdings is registered in Jersey, a tax haven. City hedge fund managers run the firm, and only one of them has medical experience. Also, Circle is still unprofitable. Since 2004, its investors have cashed out £140 million, but in 2010, Circle reported £82 million in debt. So who's in the best position to manage Hitchinbrook's hospital, doctors or bankers?
Let's get more now on that question together with our guests. Zainab Orr is with me here in the studio. She's an economist and research director at the Institute for Research and Information in Health Economics. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Let me first get your reaction to what we just saw in this report and your reaction to this idea of having a private company run a public hospital.
I think what is kind of interesting in this reportage is like it's the private sector given a public hospital, and it's not clear under which conditions, and the objectives set, which are all respectable, reducing length of stay, readmissions, providing the best care, and it's not clear why private sector should be in a better position than public sector if they have given the same incentive for improving quality and efficiency.
Mr. Passer was making the argument that it is possible to improve that quality while at the same time cut down on costs. What do you think of that? Is that possible? Is that equation feasible?
Of course, it is feasible. You know, in healthcare, the quality is a diffuse notion. We talk often about appropriateness of care. You know, if I'm providing you, if you don't have a headache and I'm providing you a best painkiller in a silver plate, you can't say that the quality of care of my provision is good. You know, it's just that you need to get the appropriate care, timely care to the right patient. But within this context, it's actually more reason to be suspicious about, you know, why should private sector should aim to do that more than public sector. You know, you just need to remember the objectives of a private company. They are for profit. They have to maximize their profit. And this could be particularly tricky in the healthcare sector, where we don't have always good indicators of what is good quality. We talk often in healthcare about asymmetry of information, which means that as a patient or payer, you don't always know what is best healthcare for you.
As we just heard in the report, Circle Health is still unprofitable. Do you think overall, though, that it is possible to run a profitable hospital privately?
Definitely is. But I don't know what are the requirements from this hospital. You know, usually what we observe elsewhere, private sector specialize in domains where it is easier to organize care. You know, usually they specialize in elective surgery, in particular day surgery, where you can actually you face with a homogeneous group of patients. You can time the procedures. It's homogeneous procedures.
And where patients can walk in the morning and out in the afternoon.
Absolutely, in the afternoon. And so it is easier from organizational point of view to predict your cost and how much revenue you will get, etc. What happens in most public hospitals who run on deficit is that they have to face with a multitude of patients which require very different heterogeneous type of care, you know, trauma care, heavy HIV care, stroke care, at the same time some elective surgery, etc. So you could imagine why they are not very efficient providing elective surgery, for example, because organizationally it is difficult to make sure that you can get profit from everything you do.
They have to prepare for all of these other possibilities and situations.
Absolutely. You have to provide 24-hour care. This is a certain cost. You have to have a certain amount of staff always available, and you can't really predict how much demand you will have from patients and when.
Is it possible, or are there lessons, though? You spoke about this before. What are the lessons that the public sector can learn from the private sector?
I think in terms of managerial terms, you know, setting up objective, putting up indicators to follow up quality, and you know, look for margins for reducing costs. I'm sure there are a lot of things that public sector can learn from private sector, but on the contrary, private sector can learn from public sector as well. I mean, I don't think that we have evidence that private hospitals are always more efficient and provide higher quality. When you look at all around the world, like in France, United States, you see a lot of public excellence centers. They're providing very good quality care and in an efficient manner.
We've actually seen health costs in most Western countries come up as a share of GDP in the past few years as populations are getting older. Do you think that private healthcare could be a way to stem that development and in order to get those healthcare costs down?
I'm afraid not. And if anything, it should be the opposite. Because if you look at to the world where you have most private healthcare, it is the United States. And we know very well that the United States has the most expensive healthcare system in the world. They are spending about 18% of their GDP to healthcare. This compares with 8% in the United Kingdom. And they have the least good health outcomes within the OECD countries. So
Why do you think that is? Why does the United States spend so much money on healthcare but not getting it back in real terms, so to speak?
this is precisely lack of public intervention or not enough public existence in the healthcare system. Maybe I should remind just very quickly why in the healthcare system we do need public or government interventions. This is because of the belief that health is a fundamental human right. Every person should have access to healthcare on the basis of their need, not as a function of their ability to pay. So this is the principle of equity in healthcare, and this is a common objective across most healthcare systems. So from that point, when you have this objective, it means that you need to fund publicly healthcare. And you need to think about what is the best way of using this public funding. So when we talk about efficiency in healthcare, it's not only about efficiency of individual providers. You need to talk about what we call in economics social efficiency, which means that getting the best out of what you put into the system.
With that question, we're going to have to wrap up this program because we have run out of time. Zainab Orr, thanks very much indeed for taking the time to speak to us.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to wrap up the program. Thanks for watching.